Well, let me not exactly bury the lead here. Actually, no one's watching, so I might as well hear a little more before I move on. You know what it's about. MamaMax stream. Chud is right, or at least his community is about this song actually being rather epic. But let me not bury the lead here. MamaMax, for the moment stream. Shh, gonna be a quiet stream tonight because, don't want anyone to know about it. With MamaMax, who knows what accusations will fly. As I'll probably go over a little bit. A lot of people are covering this just from the more critical angle. I want to take a more esoteric perspective here. Just because I really been sort of in the commentary space for really way too long. So I had a little spark, led me down the path earlier, along with a whole bunch of other impromptu research. And if you want the up-to-date thing, plenty of people covering it. There was one guy I was watching to sort of get into the mood for this stream called Strictly Patrick, who was covering it from the most recent video and moving backwards. I'm not even going to be doing that. I'm going to be going straight back to the core and linking it to some other videos that are out there. Not that the video that I made my edit of is really hidden or private or anything. Not going to be something that a lot of people are going to think about. Because frankly, I remembered MamaMax back in the day had a podcast with good old man called Sino. Let me let someone speak for me so I can take a break and maybe a drink in reality. So let's see how this goes. Might as well not show my super duper playlist, so hide it with my super duper face. And so let's do a little start with this. Background on Sino, speed up, goo. Oh, there. Sort of ruined my playlist with that.
With a 0 instead of the O. You'll find a YouTube commentary channel who was basically booed off the internet for being unfunny. Yes, boys, what a heinous crime indeed. Now, unlike the Sharby episode where I didn't really know his channel beforehand, I had to figure all the stuff out. I knew about Sino back in the day. I actually used to watch some of his videos before they were all privatized and stuff. And yeah, so back in the day, the golden fucking era of commentary that was 2016.
ASMR YouTuber Jojo ASMR. That's why no ASMR here. Not gonna strictly cover him.
That he got himself into, similar to Sharby, buried deep down, specifically back in 2017 channel. And I mean, that isn't too bad, but considering the fact that he did it on such a wide scale, it was pretty weird to say nonetheless. What's funny nowadays is
yes, a lot of people made fun of him because he was such a bare, basic, repeating what other people say, even Keemstar.
And people are more accepting today, which from back in 2016. And that was apparently that his Twitter managed to get hacked. I don't know whether it's actually hacked to basically the Sino profile picture, just with red eye. But yeah, it was some CSGO giveaway from 3 or 4 years ago now. And the other is just completely bare. Even the sub count has been turned off. There have been re-uploads of his videos over the years.
But
the only real content that still stands to this day that hasn't been taken down is the podcast he did with MamaMax.
There's no crossovers, and that really happened too quick. So someone's unaware, MamaMax's podcast, and I happen to make a handy dandy edit of that I sort of want to connect with other things.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of A Quiet Place for Friends. I am Max, and I'm here with my cohort.
Hi guys. Hope you're doing well. It's Sinner.
Distance. You guys ever
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's tiring. It's pretty difficult.
I'm definitely going to include some context here, so you're going to get a little bit of both Sino and Elvis the Alien here. But the main focus is going to be on Max for this podcast, because I really believe you get the more raw experience from this sort of podcast format as opposed to his Life Sucks videos that will sort of come into a factor in one other video that I probably will play.
Like the last time I saw my girlfriend was probably like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But we communicate tons, like every single day, every hour, just like online and stuff, and we FaceTime a lot. So I mean, Max even has it harder than me, but like,
Yeah.
it can be quite,
For me
quite
personally, I don't mind it being so long distance because beforehand it was even harder just because I didn't have her there, and just having her there is more than enough to keep me happy. Obviously, I do want to see her, and we do plan on doing that. But I mean, I guess I'm just extremely patient because I see no problem with long distance relationships.
Oh
And,
yeah.
I mean, I kind of envy you in some aspects because
Yes, this is the first official girlfriend, which I will be going to afterwards. So anyone watching this, keep this in mind.
right now, me and my wife live in like this really small room, and it can get like super overbearing sometimes. Like trying to find time for me to record, or
Oh yeah.
like right now she's sleeping like right next to me. But she's like a super heavy sleeper, so it's fine. But like,
Right.
but like,
You're weird, Elvis.
It's, it gets hard sometimes because like I have to work around her work schedule and
Yeah.
Sorry.
Wow.
no. I mean, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be sane.
Topic of loneliness. It is something I've had to live with for 18 years of my life because Twigs is my first girlfriend, and
Twigs.
my YouTube channel is like the very first place that I've actually made real relationships. School was good, you know.
Real
I did have
relationships.
good friends back then.
I just point this out. He got real relationships thanks to his YouTube channel. Think about how odd that would be.
But it was nothing like what it is now, because now people listen to me. Now people like think I'm funny, which people did think in school sometimes, but on YouTube it just feels like
But he didn't have any friends, real friends, until he had a YouTube channel. Just pointing all this out. I'm not trying to be ass. Although I'll probably come off at it like that at several times in this. Can't help myself.
I don't want to like
know what
sound
you're saying.
braggy or anything, but on YouTube it feels like you have it just feels like you have the power in the relationship because
And-
you're the one people come to.
Sorry, I'm pausing so much. Pause Andy. Just went over some sort of Mauler thing yesterday, so maybe that eat fat force is still in me. But yeah, feels like you had the power. Just pay close attention to how he's speaking. This is before he really broke out. He was still popular with the Life Sucks series, but this is before a lot of the other crap that came along.
You know,
A huge thing is that like I feel like as YouTubers that it comes to a point where I don't think, how do I say this? The bigger we get, inevitably it becomes more and more that we just kind of become
The bigger you are,
just
the harder
tame
you
to all
fall.
the nice comments, to all of the friendly things that people say and whatnot. And the thing is that I feel like a huge wake-up call whenever I go on a Discord, whether it be like Colossal's or yours, Elvis, or who's ever, and you just see these people that just have so many things in common with you and like so many topics that you can just relate to. It's just really nice, I guess, to kind of get in touch with that. So for people that do like have kind of suffer with depression, or not depression, but well, that as well, because it is a part of it, but well, loneliness and stuff, even going on something like Discord is crazy. Like I feel like in my case, a lot of people don't kind of have the same kind of interest in me when it comes to YouTube and stuff in this community. But as soon as I hop on a Discord, then it's just I could talk on hours on end about Keemstar with some people in a Discord.
Now, this not necessarily applies to Max here. So, obviously, is a commentator, why Max has more commentator adjacent here with his Life Sucks series. But clearly, they made friends, and I sort of cut the first episode where he talks about the formation of the podcast, where he sort of tried to drag Max on. Didn't last that long, 5 episodes. And probably later, I'm going to link all these episodes so you could go through them yourself if you want to be a conspiracy theorist like me, to sort of get an understanding of Max in the past. And I'm going to try to do that and sort of connect it to some of the allegations that have been made, not recently, but past a year ago when he first started making a big stink about YouTube chooses sides.
Could. So yeah, it's really nice actually.
Yeah.
yes, it is.
Same thing with me. As far as like, when Max was saying well, I mean, I don't know. I think it's a little different with me. In school, I had good friends, but it's always different online because I feel like I can always open up with people better online than I can.
Yeah,
in
another
person.
problem. I
Like,
think that's
restrict yourself
Elvis
to
the alien
only
talking
having these
there.
1 or 2 good friends, which has its ups and downs. Ups being that obviously you don't have to waste your time on people that, let's be honest, you're probably never going to talk to in the rest of your life. But it
Mhm.
kind
And
of what it
Sinno's
does is
attitude.
humans, it's in our nature or condition to be part of something bigger and to be in a bigger community, something that goes beyond ourselves. And so then, whilst at times, yes, it's nice to have these super intimate relationships with.
And that is Sinnoh talking, and now he's an ASMR channel with over 1 million subs. I hope he's matured some from here.
One or two people. I mean, this was just me and I mean, but whilst it's really nice to have those intimate relationships with just a few friends, I feel like, yeah, as I said, at times it was just, I felt like I wanted to conform and kind of be a part of something bigger, even if
Very
it's people that I didn't
malleable.
really care about just the feeling and of being with a lot of
Illusions
people.
of
Nice.
grandeur.
But I feel like with YouTube now, it's kind of like that's kind of there. I mean, with
Oh,
thousands of
YouTube
people,
is his
just nice
power.
things. It's so nice. And
As far as loneliness goes, if anybody listening to this right now is like really suffering because you feel like you don't have anybody to talk to, or
Not
you
sure
don't
if
have like
this
that
is
special
Max
someone,
or
or you don't feel like you're
Alien
popular
here.
or whatever. Like all three of us have felt that way, like
Yeah.
that shit will pass. Like I've had moments where I've like I'll admit it, like I felt like suicidal almost, and because I feel like nobody cared, like
This
nobody was
is
listening to
already
me,
at
like I had literally no one, so. But it's just like
1.5.
you just have to kind of believe. I know it's
Slow.
stupid to say that, like being optimistic sucks because I know. But you do. You just kind of have to believe. That,
Ironic,
one day,
since that was
things will
probably
change,
one of
because, if they do for
Max's
me,
videos.
they do for so many people. So it's you
Yeah.
gotta keep trucking.
a huge
pretty
thing
much.
that kind of a great
Yeah.
piece of advice. I might be quite
Exactly.
laggy. I'm really sorry if that's the case though. What I was talking to my dad once about it, and he was like, "You just got to remember that at times in life where you're going to be kind of really depressed or alone or upset, especially alone." But I feel like the
Yeah.
great thing which I kind of always go by through is that you have to always remember that you are your best friend. If that makes sense, to always love yourself. in solitude, it takes a huge.
I mean, it sounds a little egotistical, but I can't exactly deny that. You only have yourself to rely on, but that sort of attitude can lead to some problems.
Toll.
Mhm.
And I feel like those things really do help. But yeah, so that's kind of my input on that, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, I agree. If you're down in the dumps and you acknowledge
Max
that and you
speaking?
just push yourself more down, it's obviously not going to help. But whenever you're you keep your chin up, biologically speaking, whenever you keep your chin up, that increases the amount of endorphins you
Yeah, I
attain through
actually heard that. It's weird,
Yeah.
but it helps.
Yeah, exactly. So both
It seems like he's already getting into just bringing up little random scientific facts that may be true or may not.
scientifically speaking and metaphorically speaking, keeping your chin up and keeping on
Mixing
going
the science with the metaphor.
is the way to go. Always have a positive outlook, because whenever you're like, oh, this sucks, my life sucks, everything sucks, that's going to make it even worse. Kind of like people who suffer from cancer. Like studies show that those who
These are actually some decent words of wisdom, but there's a certain sort of attitude here that you can even find.
wallow in their sickness get more sick, and those who deal with it and just get through their day and do what they want to do at the end of it end up alive.
Max, if you have any experiences with backstabbing, go ahead and how'd you feel? I mean, what was going through your thought?
I'm sure there's much more, but I put more context with Ellis the alien, and this is more relevant. Last part is just for the awesome Colossal voice, which good on them for getting Colossal's crazy, but
process? How did you want to resolve it?
I wanted to bash my head into the wall. I haven't been backstabbed in quite a long time, other than few very minute instances, like my brother telling on me or something. And even then, it's stupid because we're all adults. But the last time it was really huge was way back when I joined the army. I had this girl I liked, and you'll find this with a lot of soldiers who go.
Okay, we're going to go over this in just a bit. So keep in mind, a girl backstabbed him when he went into the army. You assume it's his girlfriend or something. Maybe he puts more context.
The army with girlfriends. You'll find that.
Yeah, he's making it like this girl was his girlfriend when he went into the army. I don't know if he's just lying or maybe could have been delusional for this. Don't know how that is, but he's turning it around like this was the girlfriend. I'm guessing she backstabbed him.
And I didn't necessarily have a girlfriend. It's just a girl that I liked.
Okay. He does clarify that. Little odd.
I joined the army because of her, and then she proceeded to ignore me. And every letter I sent was unanswered, even though she told me to send her letters, which I couldn't care less about now because I have Lulu, I have Twigs. But back then it was.
So we have the first girl. The girl, he caused him to go to the army, which didn't quite work out for him for reasons. And Twigs. We'll be seeing those later. There's other girls, but I don't want to really focus on them. Just focusing on the girls that he mentions here.
Oh, it was horrible. What a horrible time. Like,
Jesus.
yeah.
Because I mean, you went to the army. You spent years of your life there, and for that to happen, like the sole reason why you went there was the sole reason why it stopped.
Mhm.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and that was the case for a lot of soldiers there. Like both.
And here I need to bring up Sinnoh, sort of like, what, she betrayed you while you were at boot camp. There's probably a good reason. Does he not know the context? He probably doesn't.
Girls and boys were having their girlfriends and boyfriends on the other side cheat on them and break up with them and abandon them, basically. And it was horrible to watch because everyone there was like,
Yeah, even though he did do that clarification that it wasn't a girlfriend, he's really talking like this girl was his girlfriend. Little odd.
suicidal, and they have to, like, our sergeants had to give out like suicide numbers and shit like that just because it was that bad.
Yeah, Jesus.
It is
Wow.
someone named
Well,
Mama
yeah, that's the thing.
Max who's caused quite a stink. A lot of people covered him. You shouldn't be aware of him, but I sort of found an interesting angle that not everyone's covering. I just came from a stream, Strictly Patrick going over this whole mess. But yeah, he's trying to. Recent thing is he pretty much tried to cancel Moist Critical. If you know him, he's a rather popular YouTuber, for not answering his Discord messages. And a lot of people are sort of covering MamaMax from that perspective. I'm covering him from 7 years ago when he was just an up-and-coming YouTuber.
Is that how would you recommend? I mean, what do you have? To
Oh,
say
you
to any
have
people
been?
out there that are honestly, being backstabbed at the moment? What could you?
All I can really say is just make it through it. I know it sucks ass.
Yeah, he's assuming this girl backstabbed him. And maybe I should jump to it right after this. But he has his current girlfriend in this 7 years ago, maybe 6.
It is probably one of the worst. And I know you may want to be taking matter in your own hands.
Correct.
To say you want to beat the shit out of the person that backstabbed you. Please just calm down a little bit. Listen to some calming music and relax. Just, it's gonna be okay.
And
all
also,
right?
yeah, the thing is, that's our kind of
Is it
motto.
gonna
It's
be
all gonna
okay?
be okay, right? I mean, this is such a minute, small, insignificant. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, we're not
Okay. Maybe I
obviously
should.
undermining the experience
Sorry,
of
I'm
what you're going
tempted
through
to
if you
skip
haven't been there,
already.
but like, you look at this 10 years from now, and you'll just be like, well, fuck them. Like, and the thing is,
Yeah,
a lot
exactly.
of backstabbing, most of the time, right, occurs in about high school or middle school, right? After you
And I'm wondering if he's framing this to other people and they're sort of giving him that perspective. So let's go straight to that. Had to re-upload this because privacy. Let's actually go over that real quick.
You get out and say that first, because when this video was first posted, people were really confused why this channel was the one hosting this video and had all sorts of conspiracy theories. So that is why I am directly involved in this situation. I'm listed in the police reports.
This
So
YouTuber here was dating the first girl, MamaMax, left to go to the army and treat it like the girlfriend, Haley. So
clear, that is why I have been involved and why I have posted this here. I also wanted to update all of you on why this has been re-uploaded. And it's because the first video was taken down on July 27th, late in the evening. The day before, I had received 3 privacy complaints that YouTube had emailed me about, with varying timestamps throughout the video. It was about 11 minutes of Haley's story was claimed, or there was a privacy complaint, and then a portion of Lucy's story as well. Those segments covered almost entirely Haley's background of Max, from meeting in high school, going through UNT, as well as Lucy's discussion of Max's birthday and name change and his ID. So all of those things have been blurred in this video. His new name on his ID, his graduation day at high school, so on and so forth. The reason why those were so important to us to include in the video is because of the statements that Max has made in public and other places. For example, his graduation date and his birthday. He's claimed publicly a number of times that he's different ages. He claimed privately to some of the women on this video and others that he was a different age as well. He's claimed in the past that he was 18 when he was actually 20, and that he was born this year or that year. So showing his birthday was important for that reason. In terms of his ID, everything was censored except for his city, his name, and his birth date. But now I have covered all of that. In terms of his name, the reason why it's important for us to show his first name and last name as it exists now is because on Craig's video that was posted a few months ago, supposedly debunking these claims, he mentioned that.
And just to let you know, Craig, the person who defended him and did a lot of harassment to him, sort of got exposed for sexing an underage girl.
Anybody could look up his name and see that there's no police reports filed against him. That was disingenuous because he's changed his name since the police reports were filed. So anybody who knew his real name as it is today and went looking would not find anything, which is why it was important for us to show his ID and compare it to the police report.
So this is actually interesting to keep in mind for people following what Colton's doing, looking up this one person MamaMax is going after. This person he's talking about might have changed his name. I'm not saying he did, but this is how MamaMax, under his original name, new name, because he changed it, allegedly, and I believe that's correct, but don't hold me to that. Won't have any police reports on it. But this does have the police reports. And frankly, I could criticize this guy for not showing them long enough.
Reports and how he was listed and named throughout high school and Haley's experience with him. I think that's all the forward that needs to be said about this particular video and its re-upload. I also just want to say that we will be putting together a more short form condensed video that's maybe 10, 15 minutes long, summarizing these claims, the allegations that we're making and which ones that we believe are specifically criminal, which we are looking to take through civil litigation, and which further just highlight Max's character and his pattern of abuse. So hopefully we can get that together soon. We also are working
and
to
you will see this guy around
two other statements together
around
from two other women who have not been involved in this video just yet, their stories together and posted as quickly as possible. Which actually I should also mention that in working on that shorter 15-minute video, I hope to supplement some additional information and screenshots and details that we have that were either overlooked or just were not.
Okay, blah, blah,
I've lived
blah.
happily since this happened and don't let this part of my life define me. However, I'd be lying
really
if I said this
does
didn't
need to
change who I
shorten
was as a
this up.
person. I wasn't always apprehensive about trusting folks or wary about booking a room at Comfort Inn and Suites, and I had to alter my life because I knew MamaMax and it wasn't in a good way. I met Max in 2012, 2013 while in high school. We were coworkers at a local movie theater in Wiley, Texas called B&B Theaters. We didn't really speak that much while working there, but he was good friends with most of my coworkers, but he only worked there for a short
That's
period
a
of
bad
time.
attempt.
We were classmates in a forensic science class
Oh,
our senior
God.
year in 2013, 2014, high school.
So they're censoring all
We
this
attended
now.
the same high school together the entire time, but we didn't really interact with each other until we were in this class together. He and I were lab partners and sat next to each other throughout the school year. In the first semester, so August to December, we became acquaintances and exchanged numbers at some point.
Don't need
we
to
talked every
get
now and then outside
into
of
all
school, but it was
this.
very limited and was normally about school events. I had a boyfriend named Dustin at the time who I'd been dating for the city, and pulled into the hotel parking lot. I asked him why we were at the hotel, and he said he had booked a room for us for the night. I was shocked, and honestly, I couldn't move or even really speak.
And take all this with a grain of salt. This is this woman's alleged testimony to things. MamaMax could definitely sue her for defamation if anything. He can prove anything she's saying is lie, but I don't hear about any litigation. In fact, in the beginning of this, it seems like this couple is trying to do litigation. But again, grain of salt. Don't believe everything you see on the internet.
I started to panic just sort of shut down. I couldn't find the means to run or object to anything. Max opened the car door for me, and he took my hand, guiding me out. He led me into the side door of the hotel, and the room that he had booked was right off that side door. Once we got into the hotel room, there was only one bed, and that's whenever I started to cry. I asked him if he'd be mad if I left, and Max was laughing and said that we were just here to hang out and to catch up on our lives. He was standing like in the doorway and wouldn't let me walk past him. Anytime I tried to get out the door, he would hold my shoulders or my waist, and he would just stop me. Honestly, I can't remember all of what happened that night, as I've done all I could to forget and move past this memory for years, but I handed my shirt for a month or so. I was pretty blunt about it. 2-5 with a link near my apartment after I moved off campus, which was an hour away from his mom's house, who he was still living with at the time. He randomly showed up at an old friend's house to ask about me and crashed on their couch, which was hours away. It wasn't even that she lived close. She was going to college in like South Texas, and he showed up there. He sent Anthony an apology letter through Twitter.
Okay, take with a grain of salt, but I'm not going to read all this. I mean, maybe it's correct, maybe it's not.
And basically admitting to, a lot of these things and apologizing for it.
Okay, does seem from the
He
brief
contacted
that I'm
Anthony
scanning.
over Twitter a few times after that. And in one DM asked Anthony to subscribe to his YouTube channel, which I think was focused on mental health videos and hentai review videos at the time. And
This is horrible framing. Okay, yes, his Life is Sucks series. And he did do a few hentai reviews, which are definitely very strange.
when Anthony didn't respond, he got upset and said something like he thought he could get past it. He has no interest in ever associating with Anthony again, and then blocked him. He also expressed anger that Anthony had called in a wellness check because cops ended up coming along with EMS. At some point prior, he also accused Anthony of sending photos to a minor who was an old friend and who also happened to be Max's sister's best friend at the time that Max made the claim. Max never said more about that accusation, but said that if he were to ever end up dead, that he had arranged for the evidence to be released because he knew how you people are.
Yeah, the video he did to sort of counter this video, which is still up, is private. So it makes me wonder why it's private now.
Made these accusations.
Basically calling him a pedophile off of the testimony of a very obscure person, friend of a friend thing, if I remember it correctly. Again, everything with a grain of salt. Be suspicious of everyone, even the people who seem completely normal in this case and aren't online figures. I try to figure out the motivations for why these people would come forward. I don't see any, but there could be plenty.
And nothing else was said about it. We're not sure what that means. When Max posted a Q&A, which had been deleted but was re-uploaded by a different channel, he mentioned me and described how I called the police on him. He also posted a handful of videos that contained references to me and even quick cuts where text would pop up on the screen that contained.
And what I just showed with him talking about life is strained, this is the girl who betrayed him.
Hidden messages for me.
And then I met her, and I loved her. And then I met her, and I loved her.
I don't
and
like
then she started to ignore me. Then she started to fear me. Then she started to hate me. Then she dropped all contact with me and called the cops on me.
Max found every apartment I lived in while living in Texas, 4 different apartment complexes. I had to break my lease early due to not feeling safe at one of them. While living in Texas, I had to notify jobs and employers of Max and show them pictures so that if he showed up, they could turn him away. Anthony had to do this too. There are many reports to the police on my behalf because of Max.
Okay, they need to keep these up longer. They are up for a second. There's definitely a criticism of them. And there's nothing to confirm. Definitely is evidence, but as I said, they had to censor this because they got privacy complaints, and maybe it was stupid to actually make this video without actually going through the rules and doing all this proper stuff. Don't know. Yep. Yeah, they should actually have them on screen a little bit longer in case people want to pause it and read it. But you can't confirm it either way. I guess you would have to go through the police system. You could look into the police system and pull these yourself, public access, unless there's some reasons it's confidential, which is very rare from what I know. So it's definitely very legitimate looking. You see her name, Haley, last name redacted, of course. You see Max there. 3 different police.
It took me several years to admit that I had a stalker. I've been diagnosed with PTSD and anxiety as a direct result of being held against my will in that hotel room. Although I haven't had direct contact with Max since 2019, the repercussions of his actions have stuck with me to this day. I've had to go through several rounds of therapy to learn how to cope with the triggers he created, and it is still an ongoing process. I honestly thought I was done dealing with Max for the rest of my life, and believe me, I want to move on from this more than anything. But when Max and many of his fans and other content creators are denying the claims.
Yeah. Again, I thought it was Craig Becket. No, it doesn't matter. But this is completely insane. There's a whole video detailing several videos, but I have one on the playlist in case I feel the need to play it. Let's see how long this runs.
Of women who have stepped forward are harassing them and their families and are making a joke of this.
They really need to not put this through. This is way too fast. Well, I am speeding up. If you do that, I will take down the video. I will make a new one condemning Max's actions. I'll spin the... See, this is insane. But it has to be crystal clear, smoking gun, anything left is speculation, and I'll dismiss. Sorry, this is a he said, she said situation, and you don't have the right to actually ask for the legal papers. The legal papers would support the argument, but it wouldn't be crystal clear. And this guy, again, left the internet after it was exposed he had sexting a 17-year-old. Even take that's a little bit more clear cut since he just ran.
This whole thing. I can't stay silent and pretend I didn't go through what I went through. I survived the abuse of MamaMax, Max Harris, Max Stryker, Maximilian Murdoch, Maxine Rasmussen, or whatever other name or alias he wants to go by. I believe every single person who shares their abuse story about him, and I hope you do too.
Yeah, that might be a mistake. I'm not going to go through all of them. Just pretty much this one. This is the girlfriend he was talking about.
My name is Lucy. You probably know me as Twigs. I used to go by, as well as Max referred to me as Lulu. My handle on Twitter used to be like Detective Twigs or just Twigs or King Twigs. I don't know, like, a shit ton of them. Anyway, I dated MamaMax when I was a minor at 17, from 2016 to 2018. So when I first met Max, he told me, like online. I'm in Australia and he is in Texas. So, well, he was in Texas at the time. I'm not sure where he is now, but yeah. So we met online, obviously on Twitter, I think it was. And I was 17 at the time.
Again, grain of salt. She was 17. She believed he was 18 when he was really 20.
So my birthday is the 24th of October, 1998. So at the time I met Max, I was 17. I have some, I don't know, obviously, like, I've deleted Discords and Twitter accounts since, but we have some screenshots of people on Twitter like referring to us as a couple.
Yeah, I vaguely think I remember this. Wasn't big into MamaMax in the day. I could be misremembering. Maybe they'll play Animal. It's a little deceptive, but oh well. Out of context, no likes, screenshot. Don't like it, but maybe it's just establishing there was people talking about it on Twitter.
And that we were dating, and we also have, I think it's in July.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Of 2016, where he says he wants to cream pie me, which, is sexual activity as a minor. At the time, he told me he was 18, so that he was born 19.
Okay. That would line up.
That's the same as me because I was turning 18 that year.
Oh, okay. It wouldn't
which
line up.
we,
The 20 line up.
is
Oh,
incorrect.
I'm an idiot.
His ID is from 1996. So he told me he was 18, and then it wasn't until after I turned 18 he told me he was lying about his age and that he was actually 20. So he not only lied about his age, but dated me as a minor. I figured, because I was naive and young, that if he...
I think they established pretty well the ages and that they were dated. And this definitely would be a red flag as far as I'm concerned.
He was born the same year as me, doesn't really matter, he's just turned 18 and I'm turning 18, so it was fine. But yeah, he was actually lying about his age and didn't tell me until I was actually of legal age, so he did that on purpose. He was talking about flying me over to Texas.
Does seem like he did it on purpose. What are you doing in the holidays? Got some fall year and Mama wants to go camping trip. Don't know when, and Max might fly me over to Texas, but we're not 100% sure that'll happen. This could be her lie. She's not talking to Max. There's no way to even confirm, even if they were talking, that it was him.
Before I was 18 as well. Like, as a minor, he was talking about flying me internationally to see him. He obviously was only planning to do that after I became an adult. And I just wanted to note as well, there would have been, I don't have any proof of it, obviously, and even if I did, I couldn't show it, but there would have been child pornography in that case, being shared, obviously, Snapchats and yada yada. I was a kid. Yes.
I don't like that framing. She's 17 and she's considering herself a kid. I do think there's a lot of other unethical things, and legally she probably is correct, especially since it's international. But sorry, it just doesn't sit well. Herself calling herself as a kid at 17, almost 18.
So that's 2016 when it began. I went to Texas in 2017, so I was a legal adult. I think at this time I was actually 19. We were together when I turned 18, and then when I turned 19 in October, I flew over that Christmas, so Christmas of 2017. When I was 19, I stayed at Max's house in Dallas, in Wiley, Texas.
Didn't meet up until 19. I'm guessing 19, 21, 22. Depends.
With his family, so I know his entire family, even his extended family. I've met all of his siblings, his nephews and nieces.
Big family.
Yeah. So I'm well adept in that area. I stayed over the New Year period as well. I came back in, I believe it was just after Christmas. It wasn't New Year's at that time. It was like the in between period, a couple days between Christmas and New Year's. And we went to Six Flags in Arlington. I've got a photo of us, and I've got like a refill cup of the hot chocolate they had. That was the only night that I stayed away from Max's family. Like usually I was in his room in his family home, Flags itself, where that is where he sexually assaulted me. I don't have a police report to back that one up. I don't have any physical evidence either. It was, like I said, 2017. Sorry.
What was the sexual assault?
I'm not going to go into the details of how he sexually assaulted me or anything, but
See, I don't like that.
And I was scared and embarrassed to not report it, and so well, I was embarrassed because obviously anything about it. I just waited until my flight to go home, and then when I was safe back in Australia, I ended things with him, which is in the 2018 when he's tried to call me internationally because I cut him off completely, pretty much. I just wanted to make note of a couple of things as well about Max's narcissism. Is that in evidence?
See, I don't like armchair psychiatry. Okay, you have a bad perception of the guy. Maybe he's a narcissist. Maybe he has some other personality disorder. Definitely seems to be a little odd, and he definitely has something. But I hate when people make armchair psychology like narcissism. It just gets thrown around too much.
To back that up, he will never go to the women that he's seeing. They always have to come to him. He will pay for that. That's fine because he is isolating you. He will, like, obviously,
if what she's saying is true, and he does bring them into the family home and things like that, it definitely is a red flag. Texas family also, but let me not perpetuate the Southerner stereotype here.
He paid for my flight to go to Texas so he could, like, obviously afford to come over here, but he didn't. He wanted me over there so he could control me and isolate me, and obviously I couldn't drive at the time. I couldn't drive in America, so I relied on him for that. I relied on his family, and I relied on his place and his space. So it's a control factor, for someone that says they have so much money. I don't know why he doesn't fly out to see these women. I mean, it's obvious. It's he wouldn't sacrifice it.
Okay, enough of that. I established this is the girlfriend and the other one's the girl. Okay, back to this.
Grief. I'm not saying can be confirmed to mean that anything the women
it's this wrong
say
one.
is a lie. It's just to say there are concrete pieces of
wrong one. Don't even know if I'm going to cover
all of
this,
those allegations.
but might as well.
I don't want to invalidate any of the women's trauma.
No, okay, let me start from the beginning.
Abuse with no proof at all beyond vague statements.
Yeah, let's go over this.
As the vehicle for his idolization of violence. After everything I've learned, I genuinely...
This is from a former
So he took the
fan.
law into his own hands. That's all well and good when there's well-documented child or animal abuse. And most of Max's videos...
And I think the only one who covered this out of everyone is Lerix. But maybe Chud Logic did, and I just missed it because it was on Twitch. And they don't say the VODs, and I don't care much for Twitch.
Highlight people who have committed egregious acts. So, that's great, right? I mean, Max, a strange, pushy, antisocial loner, having the platform to sit hundreds of thousands of loyal subscribers onto abusers. Fine, maybe a tad shaky on.
Yes, he's talking about basically when he started pedo hunting is when he joined up with Max's fan base. And from what I've seen, it seems to check out. You can watch this video yourself. I want to just go over what he says about who he accuses of being pedophiles.
What would happen if Max wasn't always telling the truth about those he accused? In fact, what if I told you that one of Max's long...
Accused of being PDF files, to be certain, and everyone knows what that's code for.
His videos as of recently, Believe All Abusers, accuse 5 women of serious abuse with no proof at all beyond vague statement.
Yes, because they had a video that came out that he was controlling, manipulative, and borderline abusive. I'm not going to say fully abusive, but definitely seems like some sus stuff overall.
Further, he accused one of these women's boyfriends of being a child predator, based on statements alleged from Max's sister's best friend.
I
at
really
their high
don't know,
school.
man. I think he's
You
just...
cannot make up how bad this is.
I think he's Yamadi light, sort of a god complex at this point. I think he's untouchable and he can do whatever. That's my theory on that.
I'm leaving out an important detail on purpose. All of these women are Max's exes. As I said before, he talks about them personally on some of his now deleted videos. But after Magnetar's video, showcasing Lucy, Olivia, and Haley's testimonies, he once again directly talked about them, this time to defame their character and cherry pick segments of their videos in his later talks with them. I don't care to critique the women's testimonies, as this is a series about Max, although they are a very important piece to the puzzle. It can be confirmed that Max was at the very least neglectful.
Max was being used. She was being neglected.
Emotionally abusive.
Max was getting angry. She was getting depressed.
And exhibited obsessive psychotic tendencies.
Attempting to commit suicide. She died on me, and I loved her. Grief.
I'm not saying can be confirmed to mean that anything the women say is a lie. It's just to say there are concrete pieces of proof to all of those allegations. I don't want to invalidate any of the women's trauma. So
smart. This man covers it well. I'm just including this for the context of what I'm going to go back into. But yes.
I'll just link their video for anyone interested.
Yes.
Please, seriously, do not harass any of these people, including Max. I don't want Max to be able to say, people who watch this video harassed him. More importantly, though, please don't bother the people who release these allegations. Even if you don't believe them, please treat them with the respect you would want to be treated with.
I agree completely. Harassment of these people that you have no connection with, just because you have a parasocial relationship with a pedo hunter, is just downright insane.
Especially given the fact that a lot of them aren't internet personalities with high sub YouTube channels. If you have more than 50 brain cells and aren't terminally online, you'd be really surprised how little research people are willing to do before they insert their opinion. I think this is fine to do when you're talking about your usual CSGO surfing topics, but when you're talking about allegations of sexual assault, that is not okay. It is never okay to conjecture on the validity of such claims solely based on a small video you have.
Yes, you need to have a lot of evidence, and I think like Chud might have been a little bit hyperbolic with his coverage of the Super Mega. It got eyes on it, and other people did come. He took a big risk, and a lot of other people covered it. Got to give him respect for that. Not all his opinions were exact, and you don't have to respect them all, but to put a highlight on it to what we have now, I think is something worth respecting, even if you think he's a total foul-mouthed asshole Brit. But that's besides the point.
Disgusts me. And yes, I am talking to you, the franchise. I'm saving the real call out for all of these channels. If you want a video more focused on MamaMax's allegations and reviewing them from the lens of a commentary channel,
and you can suck my dick!
I'll link a few other relevant videos in the description. This is still breaking news, and more comes out every few days, with larger channels like Tommy C and Edwin's Generation playing videos. So, why am I bringing up the...
And don't let the fact that Edwin's generation sort of has fallen since then, and Tommy's reputation isn't exactly stellar, let your perception of this go in skeptical completely. I advocate for critical thinking and keeping a nuanced perspective and covering anything like this. Wish I could make more jokes, but yeah, no, I'm trying to take this somewhat seriously.
The allegations. Clicks and views? No. Because they're some of the bigger dominoes in a gigantic, immaculate, fragile ecosystem of thousands of dominoes in Max's life and public career.
Did I set this up correctly?
Simply put, it's purely logical to be concerned when you learn the man who seems to idolize violence has consistent patterns of problems with exes.
Because this video has a certain bias and a certain slant that I can't totally agree with, and I didn't give a timestamp to myself.
And has a channel dedicated to reporting child predators. Made several overt allegations of child abuse based on hearsay at best, and even less.
Like with Tommy C, implying that he was a pedophile because he platformed people like Vito, who made a joke. Anyone who knows Vito knows he's a complete asshole, and hate him as much as you want for his contrary nature, and even think he's a pedophile. Tommy even goes on the record that he does not agree with his opinions and he does not think he's a pedophile. But the guilt by association of that MamaMax tried to use against Tommy C is just downright horrible. And this video overall by Simpton, I guess that's how it's said, not a very big YouTuber. I think besides not exactly liking the framing of it, supposedly this was his big project, so take it with a grain of salt if you go into it.
It wouldn't seem illogical to look back at this man's content and not necessarily doubt the validity of every accusation. But I mean, can we trust everything he says? At the very least, it paints a very different light on what this channel is to Max. I've already explained his proof for the magnetar allegations,
Like
but
sound
Vito's is
track.
even worse.
Okay, he does go over the because he put out that video. There's some problems here. Maybe his timestamps suck. Okay, here.
As I said before, he talks about them personally on some of his now deleted videos.
Nope. Maybe. Okay, none of this is relevant. Sorry to waste everyone's time. Nothing to see here. Let me get back into what I really want to. The
insignificant. I mean,
the quiet place video. Okay. Finish up with this. If there's any relevant information that comes up, I will either look it up or hopefully it'll be on the playlist. So this MamaMax talking about, I believe, his girlfriend now, the Twigs or Lulu.
in the grand scheme of things, we're not obviously undermining the what you're going through if you have been backstabbed, but like you look at this 10 years from now and you'll just be like, well, fuck them. Like and the thing is, a lot of backstabbing most of the time, right, occurs in about high school or middle school, right? After you, the thing is, after you graduate, the thing I found is like you really only keep in contact with about 1% of the 100% you had originally, right? Or you just make entirely new friends. That happens. I mean, fuck him. Like, who really cares? I mean, you're gonna move on. You know that if you haven't done anything wrong.
And again, I'm just establishing. Max just talked about this girl, his girlfriend, and actually, I think this is talking about the girl he was assessed over, the Haley girl, who left him in the army. And I'm sure he gets this a lot when he tells his story to his parasocial friends, fans, content creators. He gets this feedback loop that people want to please him. And as he's getting more and more power, as it's coming out, supposedly a lot of bigger content creators than him are somewhat scared. Just more critical isn't that scared to sort of take his stand, but it seems like some other big content creators are.
You know, it's not your problem, right? It's their problem.
Yeah.
And you don't need those people that are going to be doing that shit to you, right? It comes to backstabbing. I think the thing is that you need to just move on from it, and you just need to take the adult step and just move on from it, like instead of ranting about it for months. And I mean, no one gives a fuck. So like, just take it into your own hands. Know that you're the bigger person. You're the more adult person, and just move from it. I mean, as I said, and we'll keep repeating, it's so insignificant in the grand scheme of things, and anyone can just back.
And when you have the context of actually the sort of circumstance, the alleged circumstances around this woman backstabbing him in quotation marks, it makes this sort of creepy to the extreme.
Backstab you that was a proclaimed friend isn't a friend if they're going to do that. But yeah, that's pretty much that. I mean, if you guys have any kinds of experiences with being backstabbed, feel free to talk about that and talk about your situation, because obviously everyone's situation is different, right? But yeah, that's pretty much that on backstab. I feel like we could talk about a whole nother topic, right? I feel like
I want to clear up something on the backstabbing thing.
Go for it.
We are saying to not like start doing stupid shit because you were backstabbed, but that's not to say just take it like a bitch and do nothing about it. We're saying
not doing something stupid. Sounds like he did a lot of stupid stuff. If Haley's story is to be believed, and a lot of the other women, again, grain of salt, but don't take it like a bitch. I think he's going more for the Daredevil look, the hood, but maybe that's just cheapness. Either way, people keep saying Batman. I'm like, I almost want to correct them, but distinction isn't worth correcting them on the Batman. Batman, Daredevil, what's the difference?
Don't do stupid shit. Do something smart with that pain you're going through. Like for me in the army, I took that pain and put it into working out harder and working out, more fervently, because that's all we really had to do in the army was basically working out, and of course shoot guns and stuff. But that already relieves stress as much as it does. But yeah, do not just take it like a bitch. Please do something smart with it.
Like, try to commit suicide to get out, which I think is an established fact that I could say like that, but a little odd he's putting it like this, I guess. Self-help guru for depressed, life sucks sort of people.
Turn it into some kind of motivation for you to do something about it. Like,
that is the question. No matter how terrible Max may or may not be, if his message positively affects his audience, is it worth it? Well, if it's that one video is to be believed that he sends his audience to attack these so-called pedophiles, no matter if Max lied about it or is he's telling the truth, you got to worry about those sort of things with the power of social media, and I have a very skeptical eye to pedo hunters online. Almost seems like a power trip. They want to be heroes.
Let's say,
Kind of like channeling that negative energy into something.
yeah,
that will-
yeah, that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Just do that. Like, there's an abundance of examples for this happening in movies and all that stuff. Like, go watch a superhero movie, you'll see like
Yeah, keep this in mind. He definitely has a superhero mentality, and people keep bringing up. He seems like he wants to be a superhero or something like that, and this sort of would reinforce that, at least at this early age, that he possibly could have gotten that in his mind. Back then, it was about helping depressed people and sad people find a place in the world. Obviously, that wasn't enough for him at one point, and he had to go into the whole pedo hunting thing and really cause a racket several times since this time period.
they turn it around. They always do, and that applies for real life as well. Don't think it's I can't be a superhero, Max. I know. You can't.
You're a
can't have
superhero in
superpowers.
our eyes.
Yes, sir. Yeah, but
Yeah, just reinforcing that. Sinnoh, foolish man. Don't think he has contact with MamaMax anymore, but it would be interesting for someone to talk to him about it. Not me. I'm not that big, but someone else might if they see this or watches any of this, thanks to some sort of putting it out to them.
do your best to be like those role models.
And it also
And,
develops like your callus and stuff, and it
Yeah,
really
exactly.
it forces you to reevaluate your values and who you are and who you want to be. And I guess what's sad is that it sucks, but it's you know, for the long run, it's a positive you could think about it. It's the sense that like you reevaluate what you've done wrong and you try to improve on those things. And
Yeah, it does make you stronger. It really does.
Yes, if that was actually the truth of the matter. You have to wonder about self-delusion of certain people who get into these sort of positions on YouTube at a young age. Get all the money, all the praise from fans. It's got to do really messed up things to the human psyche, especially if the stories are to be believed about Max, which some of his own self-testimonies sort of could be used as a support for that.
it makes you honestly, the thing is that you're never really going to be backstabbed by yourself because you always have yourself, and we always have you, and everyone in the comment section always has you. But
I included it because it seemed extremely egotistical, and Sinnoh, of course, would make sense given how he sort of gave up on commentary and made a great success in AMSR content. And I think that's even a joke to say that. I don't think he does it properly, but I could be wrong. I didn't look too much into that.
it's all about kind of converting and channeling that into something positive, right? If you've been backstabbed, if you feel like you're alone, then you think as if that you're going to become a stronger person, right? And what tends to happen a lot of the time, it's not actually you that's done something. A lot of the times, just friends can sometimes just be dicks some days. Like I'm sure that not that I know of, but Max and I maybe at some state backstabbed someone else. I mean, it's in human nature that we do that shit, right? But although
Okay, I like that concession there. Okay, the best part of that, not all bad. Just talking in podcasts, friends among friends, trying to be a positive role model for people.
I'd like to think I haven't. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if I had at one point. And if you have backstabbed someone, just really think about, what you're doing to that other person, right? I mean, I guess with me on YouTube, I haven't backstabbed any friends of mine. Like when it comes to, I mean, sure, there are some shitty things that people that I would consider friends have done, but I mean, like,
I love someone in their Sinnoh video brought up Sinnoh felt weird about turning on Leafy after he had a video about meeting Leafy, but he did it anyways.
I'm not going to make a video about that on them unless it's Leafy or Keemstar because they're not friends. Like they're fucking retards. But
okay,
well,
this
I
is probably
it's
after
kind of
he made the video.
and
Cope.
that was interesting, kind of bionic pig. Or
And he wasn't
supposed to be
actually
on the podcast,
friends.
but wasn't. But he made a video talking about, well, should I backstab my friends? I mean, I have this, private information I could use against them in a video, but I'm not.
And it's sort of funny given the whole Zap tie situation. Alex and Elvis the Alien, who was on one of these bionic pig, part of the hot what soup that turned against Zaptai. Did Zaptai deserve to be turned on? That's a subjective point. Different people have different points on it. I'll stay neutral on it. I think it was a little weird, but maybe it was justified. Just don't know on that. don't have enough of that deep evidence to really make any claim to either way.
I'm gonna do that.
Mhm.
All right. Here's a question, or sorry, a statement. From a guy called a guide to self-hatred. Ironically.
Oh, that's a good
Oh goodness.
good
He said,
viewer of mine.
It happened to me, but at the age of 23, I'm
I wonder if he actually knows that's a good viewer of him. Probably very tight back in the days. He probably even knows about some of the more major vocal people, especially his Patreon people, as it's coming out.
completely aware that I was bullied only because my parents never taught me how to stand up for myself.
Mm.
I think that is important. Like, obviously, parental guidance is extremely essential.
Okay, I'm going to shift the blame on your parents. Max seems to have a certain flavor of that from his life suck, but overtly negativity, I'm not going to judge those as something that could have had a potential problem, but it definitely, I have a weird feeling talking about mental health, making that a focus, then going into some hentai reviews. It wasn't all that. I don't know how much it was. I think I might have saw one, and I think I stopped watching his content after that. And I definitely wasn't on board for the pedo hunting. Not that I think pedos are good. Pedo hunters tend to strike me as LARPers on the internet trying to do something that should for clout popularity that should just be reported to the police. Batman does not work in the spotlight. He works in the background and even has trouble with the police in some of the stories. Same with Daredevil, the one he's more MamaMax more reminds me of in his aesthetics.
To developing you as a person, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
what parents should do. And whilst you might not be able to have that direct one-on-one experience, I mean, that's what we're here for, I'd like to think. And it's nice. Someone already got to him quickly and replied to that guy saying, "That really sucks. I was bullied because of my roots. By the way, I like your channel, love heart." And the guy replies, "Hope it got better. Thanks, man." So you guys have already got each other's backs. Need someone by their side. So if you are being backstabbed, or if you know someone that's being backstabbed, just obviously be there for them, because that's what they need. They want a sense of belonging, and that's being robbed of them. Whatever.
Yeah, and along with the one of the bullies who came up to you saying it was good for you to do that, you'll find that a lot of the times once you all grow up, you'll find that a lot of your bullies will outgrow that shit. And like for me, in my senior year, a lot of the people who used to bully me ended up being like really good friends of mine. So just keep that in mind for the person that's bullying.
I almost contradicted what he was saying earlier about he didn't have any real friends in high school. Could have been another podcast. Could have shifted his perspective, or he could have just been wrong earlier, or something like that.
People grow up, right?
Yeah, you just got to deal with their underdeveloped brains at the time. But once y'all are grown up, it really does get better.
I will always put myself first. And maybe that sounds very selfish to say, but this is the reality. The fans are important. The subscribers are important.
Again, I just added this because Colossal. There isn't much from Max here, but there's a little bit. But Colossal is quite an interesting figure. I'm wondering about his association with Parasocial, given the French girl stuff and how that stuff played out, but this is not the place to talk about that here.
The followers are important. But
yeah,
there's no nice way to put this in a sentence. I'm more important.
Yeah, that's very true.
I got to do what's right for me at the end of the day.
Yeah. And how would you say, like, in the sense, say someone has just been betrayed and say it's a large scale, how would you suggest for them to kind of move on from that? What's the kind of recovery process, seeing as, it's, you're able to deal with that?
Difficult to answer because it's very much dependent on the situation, isn't it? But it ultimately comes back to what I just said. Do what's right for you and do what you feel is right.
Yeah.
If you do what you want to do and what's best for you, be selfish with it. Absolutely. Because it's you and you were the one that was betrayed.
Yeah, of course.
Do what you're happy with and what you're going to be happy with at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And the context for this, and he might be coming from a heated place, is this was, I'm assuming, sometime after the Baited podcast broke up. He asked for an even split. Keemstar went apeshit crazy and just you can find plenty of stuff about the Baited podcast, but that's the context for this if you want it.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Well, Max, I was going to ask, did you have any kind of situation you wanted to talk about on the topic of betrayal?
Sorry, I was just getting lost in Colossal's voice. It's
Max here. It might not be clear.
I can recall a few instances of some fans. I don't want to say using me, but it gets to the point where it's like, I want to be there for them, but some of them don't seem to understand that there's thousands of them and only one of me, and it's not. there are some instances where they have gone out of their way to get my attention by attacking me or trying to harm me. Not physically, of course, just
making videos.
Through videos. Yeah, exactly. Well,
I think if I can just say the thing about you is that you have such a individualized and such a special and unique fan base, because you treat all of your subscribers, every video, you treat them with such love, right? I mean, you tell them that like family to you. That
Yeah, and keep in mind, he temporarily changed his name of his channel to GODCULT, saying everyone is a parasocial relationship with their influencers. I think that comes from his own personal bias, since he started out sort of in a very parasocial place with his fans. Doesn't mean all content creators, but he sort of projects that onto all, and he probably finds cherry-picked data to support it, given how much of that he puts in a lot of his current videos about all influencers have parasocial relationships. Yes, a lot of them do, but I think you have MamaMax, I think, has a very specialized parasocial relationship that really doesn't seem healthy, even by the own way that he sort of lays it out here in this episode of A Quiet Place, Betrayal with Colossal's crazy.
That your friends and people know your situation, how you were in an environment where you didn't have that, and you talk about a lot of the time how gracious you are that you have friends, all of them being your subscribers. So I guess they're naturally all wanting to know you and stuff, because a lot of your fans perhaps could be in the same situation, right? So that's hard for you, and the bigger you get, the harder that gets.
Yeah, I went over a lot of that. A lot of that's known. Not everyone's covering it. This is something I don't think a lot of people actually know about. Only reason I'm doing a stream on it, everyone sort of, I normally wouldn't do a stream on it, but I'm like, wonder what I could pull from the episodes of A Quiet Place, because I haven't seen anyone mention that in any of the coverage, but I might have missed it. So I'm just filling a hole that I think much better people covering this probably could do a better job, but you know what? Got to do what I got to do.
When you get to a certain level and you have X amount of fans or followers or subscribers, it's impossible to communicate and stay in constant communication with all of them. And it's very self-destructive to think that you can do it. And if people tell you you're stupid, then you start to believe you are. And your grades or whatever you do in life starts to reflect that. If you believe it, it starts to happen. Don't believe it. Believe you're better, and there's a very good chance you will be better.
Yeah, and if people are telling you,
if you believe you're a superhero or a pedophile hunter, because obviously MamaMax, I got lost in Colossal's voice. This could have had a significant impact on MamaMax, or maybe no impact at all. Another reason I put this in, other reason, yeah, he's right. Colossal, at least on the surface, is rather awesome.
that kind of shit, like honestly, you should fuck them, because you need to be involved in an environment that kind of facilitates positive growth, and it's hard maybe for you to then involve yourself in this.
What term is using for parasocial relationships? Not quite sure what you mean about that, but parasocial relationships is just like anyone gets with big creators. They sort of have a blind spot. Like Hassan, if you know about that, his fans will just cheer him on while he even goes against his values, like tearing into a trans person just because the trans person criticized them, not even considering his leftist roots and him sort of stealing content in the Reactor Gate stuff. I'm being very careful with my words. Just blind faith pretty much is a parasocial relationship with any content creator. Different ones have it to different levels. I actually think, Tommy C has some good coverage on MamaMax, and he has some good criticisms I agree with. It could have been Chud Logic. He also covered it along with Lerix, but Lerix seems to be Chud Jr. as I'm seeing. He's been following him into a lot of these, but I think it's smart to follow Chud, but be a little bit smarter than Chud with his hyperbolic and rather edgy editor. And what was I thinking? Yeah, Miss Sparkles, I think you have I mentioned you had a parasocial relationship with Dev. I commented on a tweet like, yeah, the I love you at the end of his videos is sort of creepy to me. And you're like, oh, that I love you is just for me. Maybe Miss Sparkles. That sounds like a parasocial relationship if you were being serious about that
kind of environment, but whatever you can do for that situation. Like my sister, for example, is extremely clever, becoming a lawyer, but she's involved with these people who, they just smoke and they do a lot of drugs and just the wrong kinds of people. They're failing in all their courses, and she just needs to make that decision. She needs to step in the right direction. Otherwise, she could end up like that as well. So it's, your environment, your external environment definitely does affect your growth, But
For sure.
Yeah.
If there's nothing you can do about your environment, it's not a big help. But there have been countless studies of people in very low income positions, very bad backgrounds who have done exceedingly well. And in some cases, people take that position they're in, all the negativity, all the shit, and use that shit to grow, much like manure, and that's the positive way of looking at things.
Yeah.
I think.
Okay.
People rise.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about your comment, but maybe I should have actually, what term is using for parasocial relationships? That's what it's probably smart to actually lay that out for people who might be unaware of parasocial relationships. At the very least, you should define a term. And thank you for helping me with that. Covering my backside, the few people who actually watch me do these streams, especially impromptu streams like this out of the blue.
From shit, as a plant does, I guess, if you like that analogy. And if you're a positive thinking person, or trying to be, then I think
Sorry. I forget how popular you are, Miss Sparkle, especially probably with someone like Dev. Forgive me for thinking you have a parasocial relationship with him.
Can do that, no matter what situation they're in. I want to believe that. It's obviously that much harder than someone who's in a much better position, but it can be done. And I think if you really will it and want it to happen, I think it could, and I think it can, and I hope it will.
All right, well, I think that's pretty good. I think we've wrapped that up quite well. I think, thank you guys so very much for watching. Is there anything anyone else wants to really say before we say farewell to the podcast?
Always smart.
I want to say,
go for it.
For that 10% of you who actually like me, or I guess in my case would be a big one, but because of the kind of content I make. But for you guys, thank you so much. I really do appreciate y'all. Actually,
the podcast has ended.
Cool.
5 episodes.
Yeah, same for me. The 10% of comments that I'm sorry, I can't really read anymore, and the 10% of people who send me messages on Twitter, I like to think it's a bit more actually. I do greatly appreciate it, and maybe I don't say it enough, but you're certainly making me want to continue what I'm doing. If I didn't have it, I'd like to say I'd still do.
Sorry, I sort of coughed while I was laughing. Him saying, in hindsight, Colossal. Sorry, just made me laugh. Colossal. Most people would wish you would make more content, but sadly, you sort of didn't live up to that. Sorry, man.
What I'm doing.
Yeah.
But it's just an added incentive. So thank you
of course. And if you even made it this far on the podcast, that's awesome, man. We really want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to listen to these. And we plan on doing more. We just we've been very busy and whatever. But please leave your comments if talking about Betrayal, and your comment might be picked for the next video to read with whoever the next guest or whatever. But thank you so very much for listening. Thank you, Colossal, for joining on. It's been a pleasure.
My pleasure.
And we'll see you guys in the next one.
I thought they were going to end the end of this podcast. Okay. And that was the last video they ever did on this channel. Don't know if that's bad or good. You can find it's all these videos are still linked. I just wanted to edit them down for the sake of simplicity. Here's a little bit of JoJo ASMR, just to give you a sample of it. And of course, people keep telling me to do YouTube Red. Just a sample of what JoJo Sinnoh is doing now. I said no ASMR. Okay, enough of that. Go back to MamaMax real quick. And let's make sure I'm on the time spot. This is the Craig Becket thing, but it aligns. Just like MamaMax aligns himself with his editor, Angry Slug, who, when I first came into the sort of back into the commentary,
talk about the video Craig sent me of him doing
someone warned me he was a doxer. So keep that in mind. He's definitely a schizo, and he's an editor for MamaMax. That might make some sense.
Something other with a photo of me. I said he logged into his tablet to record it. Something along those lines. And this could potentially be another crime that he's committed, something along the lines of production. That being said, he's been involved in other situations that are also not so savory. There was a situation involving YouTuber MamaMax, where he released a video called Believe All. This video was about several exes who came out against him, alleging some pretty bad things.
Yep. This was the response, which is now private, but you can find a re-upload on of it. Most of this is out there. I'm just giving some context for this because I'm not going to make this go on very long. Ripzilla. Rah. Hey, sorry I didn't say hi to you. Miss Sparkles is just such a sparkling personality. I gravitated more towards her. Please forgive me, Timon.
It was a girl named Paulina, Olivia, Sarah, Lucy, and Haley. That's quite a bit of individuals. Now, I'm not going to go into this situation because it's about Craig, but the reason I brought it up is because Craig...
didn't want to earn the ire of MamaMax, I guess, by speaking on that.
Was friends with MamaMax.
Maybe he has a separate video on that. I do not know.
And was referenced in this video.
Then proceeded to give this heartfelt, emotional story about the situation.
At one point in time, he was also credited in this video for support and assistance. So what kind of support and assistance did Craig provide to MamaMax? Well, usually when women come out with these types of alleged things, people like to wait and listen and just generally wait for more details to emerge. But not Craig. Craig actually went after these young women. YouTuber Tipster says there's nothing wrong with being skeptical of serious alleged things. I actually think a healthy dose of skepticism.
You gotta love how some things happen in hindsight, like with Tipster.
Skepticism is warranted when dealing with these types of potential things that can ruin someone's life. But treating alleged victims like this ain't the move. So here he is jumping in the DMs, going after one of the girls. Here he is replying to one on Twitter saying, "Shut up, men are talking here." Paulina says, dude takes Max's out-of-context screenshots as gospel, but needs us to teleport him to the scene of the crime before he believes us. LMAO, you are delusional. We are not going to jump through hoops for your approval. Here he is again quote tweeting the girl saying, "I'm so glad to hear my argument about not relying on unfounded words has been thwarted by unfounded words." To which she says, people like him are exactly why most women don't come forward about stuff like this. So this dude went above and beyond to go after these women because he was some kind of friends with MamaMax, which is just completely out of the way in a gross situation. He would also manipulate.
Yeah, I can't add anything to this, but does seem a little interest in the type of people MamaMax has around him. Doesn't necessarily say anything about MamaMax, but, use your own critical thinking skill to really come to your own conclusions.
Vulnerable people behind the scenes to cause unnecessary drama for views.
And, of course, screw myself over with that. Mute it. Not even going to probably bother with anymore. But yeah, you can watch this video. He has a couple named this. Just look up Craig Becket. There's actually several. This is just the one that I picked for this. And anything else I really need to get into? I think I covered everything I wanted to. Xylee has a video, which is actually pretty bad. In this commercial that's making waves.
See Nick Diorio so much that he spent weeks feeding BS to my friend, convinced her I was a horrible person, and egged her on to leak my DMs. And when he got what he wanted, he left her high and dry. Class act, my dude. Here she shows him saying, "I hear they had a fun time on RFC about you last night. I think you should consider dropping the nuke. I'll be 100% with you. At this point, I don't see you coming out clean on this. So if I were you, I'd make sure everyone is dirty." Tipster's friend said, "The fact is this, I was weaponized during a mental health crisis." They said they've since stopped drinking and took themselves back to therapy. They were not themselves back then and that their mind and feelings were easily twisted.
Okay. I'm just getting petty with this. Okay. If you want to know about Craig Becket, plenty of people covered it. Covers his sort of accusations. And I will leave this.
Best friend after
I will
high school.
reiterate, not a perfect video. Small YouTuber. Not very many subs. Not very many views, which seems a little bit weird here. This was a year ago before all this current stuff came out. And even before the first time MamaMax took his shot at YouTube. He's doing it again now, so it's coming back up. He might not come out clean going for Moist Critical with all the shit he's doing. But you need to keep all this in mind. And as I said, it's not really a significant piece of the puzzle. But that A Quiet Place videos has a few little nuggets that I thought I would add into the mix of all of this. So everyone who came up and join me tonight. Thank you for coming. And for all that's going to watch this in the future, I hope you can get something good out of this, despite my weird titling of videos. Till next time, bye.